Alrighty, so today we are here to talk about the Hammond Green Canopy Initiative with a focus group that will be giving insights into their vision for urban forestry in the city of Hammond. So we could skip through some of the intro slides and jump into project background. A little bit about Delta Institute. We are a 501c3 organization based in Chicago, and we work across the Midwest to solve complex environmental challenges. So from big city centers to rural and farming communities, we collaborate largely on the community level to address environmental, economic, and climate issues. And we've been doing this work since 1998, I believe, so over 25 years doing this type of work. And we have three programmatic pillars that include resilient agriculture, sustainability and support services, and nature-based climate solutions, which is what brings us here today. So we work with communities to leverage municipal investments to capture stormwater, and we largely focus on communities disproportionately affected by climate change and flooding issues. And so my name is Jamie Zuris. I'm the project manager for the Hammond Green Canopy Initiative project. And I will pass it to Kelly with Davey to introduce herself.
And I'm Kelly Schofield, and I work with Davey Resource Group. We do a variety of projects, including urban forestry, inventories, and management plans, which is our role with Hammond.
Awesome, thanks, Kelly. So getting into the project background, Delta Institute has been working with the city of Hammond for a 2-year project that seeks to revitalize green spaces for underserved residents, promote equitable access to nature, and strengthen community resilience. And this project is made possible through the Inflation Reduction Act pass-through funding administered through a partnership between USDA Forest Service and Indiana Department of Natural Resources Community and Urban Forestry Program. So some of the goals for this project include planting 200 trees in Hammond's 3rd and 2nd districts, removing 10 hazardous trees from Harrison Park, and creating an urban forestry management plan and tree inventory. And through these efforts, we hope to mitigate and treat almost 35,000 gallons of stormwater runoff, capture almost 6,000 pounds of total carbon emissions, restore 25 acres of habitat, and include management recommendations for over 15,000 acres of urban forestry. We'll also be engaging at least 200 community members and stakeholders through engagement activities throughout the 2-year project. So to get more into these project activities, as of today, we've planted around 100 native trees in Harrison Park and Turner Park. And these photos on the left side of the screen are actually photos from a community tree planting that took place just this past Saturday in Harrison Park. And you could see kind of the before and after vision for tree planting. And we'll also be doing an additional community tree planting this coming Saturday, November 1st at Irving Park. So we encourage folks to spread the word and join us for tree planting. Davey Resource Group has also been working on a tree inventory of the 2nd and 3rd districts in Hammond, and we'll get into that just in a bit here. And then finally, this is the main activity that we are hoping to gather additional community input on, the urban forestry management plan. So Davey is putting together a plan for the entire city of Hammond to provide structure to assess, maintain, and enhance Hammond's urban forest. And what you see here on the slide is a outline of what the urban forestry management plan will cover. And included in the yellow box on the screen is the section where community input would be summarized and shared out and taken into consideration as recommendations are made for the city. So again, the purpose of convening a focus group is to gather community input to shape a shared vision for urban forestry in Hammond. We are looking for people that are living, working in Hammond, and just, yeah, maybe passionate about green space and trees, and can give us a little bit of more insight into some of the things that excite you most about canopy and tree coverage in your community, and maybe some of the challenges that you have noticed. So I will actually pass it to Kelly to share a little bit more about the work that they have done so far.
Sure. Thanks, Jamie. Let me swap the screen here. Oh, let's see if I can figure out how to do this. Share. All right. Can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Fantastic. Go ahead and just start this. All right. So I'll be presenting on the results of our inventory report that we put together for the city of Hammond. Specifically, we'll look at the inventory results. So that's like the general makeup of the urban forest, the ecosystem benefits, and a little bit of information from our partners at IU's Environmental Resilience Institute and the assessment they did. So first, those inventory results. As Jamie mentioned, we inventoried all of the street trees in the 2nd and 3rd districts, as well as Harrison and Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial Park. So the street trees are trees owned by the city, usually in the right-of-way next to the road and the sidewalks. We didn't survey privately owned trees. So of all of these trees, there were almost 4,500. Well, 4,500 sites. About 4,000 of those were trees, 70 stumps that need to be removed, and 500 potential planting sites. And then once we have those numbers, we can start looking at some of the other data that we gather to determine the state of the urban forest. One of the first things we look at is the 10-20-30 rule, which states that a healthy urban forest should have no more than 10% of any species, 20% of any genus, and 30% of any family. So if you're not familiar with those classifications, I've got this little table here. Species are at the bottom, and then they kind of group into genus and then into family. So for example, we have both silver and red maple. Those are individual species, but they both belong to the maple genus. So looking at our top 4 species here, we can see that silver maple and red maple are a little bit above that ideal 10%. And then Callery pear and green ash are below it. So we're not too concerned about those numbers, although for Callery pear, those are considered invasive and they have some other problematic characteristics to them. So probably not something we would recommend increasing as Hammond plants more trees. And the next, looking at those genuses. So as expected with our top 2 species being kinds of maple, we see that maple is well above that 20% ideal for makeup. But then the next 4 genuses are well below. So that shows that there's some options for improving and definitely lots of areas that we can add to these other species that aren't above that 20%. All right, and next we look at urban forest age. So we can determine approximate age of the trees within the inventory area by looking at their diameter at breast height. So it's about how wide the tree is at 4 feet off the ground. And then classify them as either young, established, maturing, or mature. Ideally, an urban forest should have 40% young trees and only 10% mature trees. And this is because even though mature trees have the biggest canopy and provide the most ecosystem services, we want to make sure that we have enough young trees to not just replace the old ones when they die, but to ensure that we have more trees in the future than what we have now. So as you can see from Hammond's number, we're pretty close to those ideals. Could do a little bit more in the young tree category, which is what we're working on now with those tree plantings in the parks. So hopefully we can get even closer to that ideal distribution. All right, and then the condition of the individual trees themselves. Each tree undergoes an evaluation based on a number of factors. So this can be signs of stress and damage, disease, or pests, which may impact how long these trees live. And then using those assessments, we can categorize them as good, fair, poor, or dead. And I've got the percentages there. 21% of the trees inventory were in good condition, but 70% were in fair, which is kind of to be expected in an urban area. But obviously, we'd want to push some of those more into the good category. Not too big of a portion of poor or dead trees, which is nice to see. And then continuing to look at the tree conditions, when we look at the portion of those conditions compared to the tree ages, we do see that most of the trees across all age groups are in fair condition, with mature trees having even fewer trees in the good category, which is to be expected. The trees lose some condition as they age. But we do see a lot of the young trees, or at least a large portion of them, are considered in good condition. And if we maintain them consistently and give them proper care, hopefully that means they can maintain that good status throughout their lifetime. And this can reduce costs and other issues in the future as the forest ages. All right, moving on to section 2, which is our ecosystem benefits. Part of our assessment was putting the information of our inventory into a program called iTree Eco. And this takes all of that data and quantifies how much environmental benefits all of the trees give. So we look specifically at their impact on air quality, carbon dioxide reduction, and stormwater control. And then we can translate those into approximate dollar amounts. So of the inventoried area, it's estimated that they deliver $62,000 of annual benefits to Hammond. And most of those are made up of improvements to air quality. All right, and then quickly we'll look at the ERI assessment. So I use a cohort, looked at the canopy cover across the entire city of Hammond, not just the second and third districts. So they looked at digital imagery of all 24 square miles of Hammond, and they determined that approximately 16% currently is covered in trees. But with planting, they could increase this to 24%. And if you look at the bottom table here, that breaks down further into other types of coverage. So we've got our total acreage, the current canopy, and then impervious acres, which would include roads, parking lots, buildings. So obviously these are places that we can't plant. Pervious acres and bare soil, which are potential areas to plant, and then water, also another area that is not suitable for planting. So if you look at all of those combined, pervious and bare soil, this potentially could be planted, and that would increase the canopy to 40%. But when you look closer at this, not all of those areas are practical for planting due to land use. So for example, you might have sports fields, and it's not really a good place to have trees in the middle of your soccer or your baseball fields that kind of make them not usable. Other examples are agricultural land or utility right-of-ways where there's power lines, where planting trees right against them could be dangerous. So ERI ended up identifying 100 planting sites at Irving and Columbia Parks within the 2nd District. And so they compared the satellite images, on ground site visits, and then also thought about the equitable distribution of ecosystem benefits. So where in the community do people need these benefits the most, and it's going to have the biggest impact. So they came up with this preferred plantable acres, and that's where they get the 24%. And that concludes my portion of our little brief overview of the inventory.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Kelly.
Mm-hmm.
Always appreciate getting a breakdown of some of the technical information. That's a little bit goes over my head at least. All right, I can pull my slides back up. Sorry, so we're on slide deck. All right, so what we want to hear from you all. Some of the top priorities and perspectives from the community that lives there. So what are your favorite green spaces or tree-lined areas in Hammond? We are looking for specific street areas or general neighborhoods, as well as what areas do you think need more trees? Do you notice anything about trees in your neighborhood that you would like to share and that you would like to be considered when planning for the future of Hammond's urban forestry? So are the trees in your neighborhood super well maintained? Could use a little bit more support? Are they posing a safety hazard? We would want to know that. And then kind of in the nature of this project, are there certain neighborhoods that have more trees or less trees than you think is fair? So these are the types of questions that we are asking. We'd also like to get a little creative and fun with it. So if you close your eyes and picture the future of Hammond, what does Hammond look like with a healthy urban forest? Are there more dedicated plots of land that could, you'd like to see in your community, or are there just certain areas that you think could use a little bit of supplement? So how can trees help improve life in Hammond? Are you someone that takes your lunch outside every day and likes to sit in the shade under a tree? Are you someone that actually, doesn't love trees because you have really bad allergies? Are you someone that is, taking walks outside in the summer and you're really feeling the heat beat down on you during those extreme temperature moments and really wished that there was some additional shade coverage? Do you have flooding in your backyard that you hope that can be remediated through additional green space and tree coverage? Do you think about at all how your home value can increase or decrease according to the tree canopy in your area? So these are the things that we would love to hear about, what's most important to you personally. Do you talk about these things with your neighbors? What have you heard? Anything that comes to mind, we are open to hearing. Similarly, what are your top priorities? What do you think the top priorities should be for the city of Hammond over the next 5 to 10 years when it comes to expanding tree canopy and managing the urban forest? Kind of what we have already mentioned. Do you wish there was a greater focus on maintenance? Do you wish there was a greater focus on increasing the number of young plantings? Anything that you think is a priority, we would like to hear. So any reflections you have on the information that was shared today can be emailed to me. My name's again Jamie, and I'm the project manager, and my email is there on the screen, jzuris@delta-institute.org. We would love for you to also join us for our tree planting on Saturday, November 1st. If you are available and would like to bring some friends along, we are meeting at 9:30 a.m. at Urban Park on, I think it's the south end by the playground. And thanks to Indiana University's Environmental Resilience Institute, they will be providing snacks and swags. I think they might have some cool tree planting t-shirts for folks. So definitely encourage you guys to come out and spread the word. As for next steps on the urban forestry management plan, Davey will be drafting the plan this winter, and there will be a potential for public comment. So we encourage you to stay involved in the project and continue to engage with us. We also have a working group that has met once over the summer and will be meeting again in early December. The working group is a group of community members that largely live and work in the second and third districts, but we welcome new members, and that would be another way for you to engage in giving feedback in the management plan once it's in its draft form. We'll be doing some additional tree planting and continued maintenance in the spring next year, and we will be doing a public unveiling of all this awesome work in the fall next year. So we'll definitely be in touch, and would love for you guys to stay connected with us. Oh, here's just a little snippet of what you could be doing this coming Saturday at the tree planting. So here's some additional ways that you could stay connected to us here at the Delta Institute and through this project. Just want to thank you again for your time, and hope to hear from you soon. Thanks.